Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you know that I am nearing the end of this series on reading with playing cards. We've gone through the first 3 suits. I did an overview. Then we've gone through the first 3 suits, which were the clubs, the diamonds, and the hearts. And now we're on to the spades. The spades. I intentionally saved them for the last because they're the party pooper, the killjoy, the gloom merchant of the cards suits. They're the downers, right? So I wanted to save them for the last. But still, they're an interesting and a necessary part of reading with cards, and particularly with reading with playing cards. So that's what we're going to do today. What we're going to do is first I will go over the meanings of the spades, from ace until the king, and then I'm going to flip the camera down and I'm going to talk about timing a little bit. You probably know I'm not an experienced playing card reader. This is a learn along with me kind of tutorial. But I've gathered some techniques for reading with timing, and so I'll show you what I've learned and give you some idea of how I intend to incorporate that into my reading. I'm not such a big, fan? It's not even fan. I'm not desperate to know timing usually when I look at tarot. Or even Lenormand, honestly. I'm not, when is it going to happen kind of guy, but I understand that there are people like that out there and I want to be able to help them. So I'm going to practice reading timing and try and get my accuracy going. So I'll show you about that at the end of this video. But before we do that, first I'd like to say thank you. Thank you for doing all those things that you do. Thank you for hitting the thumbs up button. Thank you for subscribing. You help the channel, you help the community grow when you do that. If you comment in the comment section below the video, you again do that wonderful service of, first, contacting me is a wonderful thing. I'm very happy when I get feedback, ideas, information, love, irritation even, from you, so that's wonderful. But also, the comments tell YouTube that people are engaging, and YouTube then shows the video to more people. Our community grows. So thank you for doing all of those things. Now, let's get into the aces. Yeah? One way that I've come to think about the aces is that the aces are kind of the opposite. They are the, what do we call that when somebody, a contrarian. They're the contrarian of the playing cards. But even more specifically, they are the opposite of the hearts cards. I can't really say that about the diamonds and the clubs. It's not like the diamonds and clubs are opposites of each other. They're actually parallel and they work together well. The action and the resources and thoughtful response, or the thoughts and the resources that allow us to do the work, they are compatriots. The hearts and the spades seem to be very yin-yang, happy-sad, yeah, joyful, depressed, healthy, ill, and we'll go through those card by card. And when I remember, I'll point out how this card really does seem like a very direct opposite to the card in the hearts suit. Yeah? So look forward to that. We'll start off here with the ace of spades. Now, this is an intriguing card. Yeah? So aces are all about beginnings, right? Beginnings and starting things. So the opposite of starting is ending, and that's one of the main ideas of the Ace of Spades. It's an ending to something. Yeah? It can be also a big change in your life, probably for the worse. It could be a big decision that you have to make when this card shows up. It's also the death card for some people. And it's not when this card is alone, but I think all four aces have to be in the spread. So you'd need a bunch of cards on the table, but all four aces would have to be in the spread for this to point somewhere in the direction of death. Yeah? Or it might be in conjunction with other spades cards pointing to illness or the deathbed. There's a deathbed card, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But still, there's that aspect to this card. Traditionally, I can't imagine using that meaning, but I wanted to point that out. Yeah? So number 2, the twos, the deuces. The 2 of spades. Twos are partnerships and they are exchanges, right? So we're exchanging bad stuff and we're bad things about partnerships, right? So what does the 2 tell us? The 2 of spades, and you'll notice the spades are going in opposite directions, right? So we have the idea of separation or divorce with this card. Yeah, the 2 people are going their separate ways. Also the idea of arguments and battles, probably word battles. Also fights with your enemies is a meaning for this card. Yeah, so instead of partnerships, it's the breaking of the partnership, right? And things that lead to the breaking, arguments, like I said, battles, fighting with a loved one or with an enemy. And remember, the 2 of hearts was a marriage, so the 2 of spades is a divorce, right? The opposite of the hearts. Here we are with the 3. Okay, 3 of spades. I'd love to say, oh, this is a lovely card, but really, not so lovely. 3s are growth, things growing, right? But we get some odd... Okay, so in accordance with that idea of things growing, we have problems. So the spades are challenges, conflicts, and problems, right? They're also earth and they're winter. Growing things, growing problems. So problems upon problems, incremental increase in problems. Yeah? Kind of like the 3 of diamonds was the incremental increase in wealth or money. This is the incremental increase of problems, little problems building up. Yeah? It's also the card for interference from a third party. Remember, the 3 of hearts was the third wheel, maybe a love rival. Well, this is a third person coming in directly to interfere with something that we're doing. Also, 3s can be loss. And even more specifically, lost objects, losing objects, like you lose your phone, you lose your keys, you lose your glasses if you have reading glasses, or just other kinds of glasses. Losing stuff, losing your purse, right? And then remember the 3 of hearts was fertility, pregnancy, a healthy child. The 3 of spades can be medical problems with an infant or a child. Yeah? Like I said, this suit, not so happy, right? The problem child of the playing cards. The 4s. 4 of spades. Now remember, 4s in the hearts are stability, stable relationship, stable marriage, right? It's also justice. So the 4 of spades, let's start off with injustice. We also have the idea of lawsuits with the 4 of spades. Yeah? 4 of spades are also instability and exhaustion, which comes from trying to maintain your balance when things are unstable. Remember, the fours are also boxes or buildings. So the four of spades could be a mortuary, yeah, a place for viewing dead bodies. It can be a graveyard, yeah, or it could be a coffin. Now remember, the fours are also beds, right? We had the hearts being the marriage bed, yeah. The four of spades is the sick bed. And what does that mean? Well, being sick, right? Being a place of illness, so a hospital bed. Yeah, it could be the deathbed, right? Some in hospice or the home. It can also be an operating table. Remember, the spades are like knives a little bit. We still have that idea of digging into things and cutting things with the spades. So the idea of operations and surgery is part of the spades, and so the surgical table would be the four of spades. Does that make sense? Okay, so we move on to the fives. Fives are what? The body, yeah? So what do we have with the five of spades? Bad stuff with the body. Yeah, so what do we have? We've got addictions and drugs are part of the five of spades. We have sickness, disease. We have injuries and stress, yeah, physical stress in the body, like tensed up shoulders, that kind of thing. And maybe even taking on too much work. Remember, the five of clubs was putting your nose to the grindstone, working hard. The five of spades is taking on too much work. Now here we are with the sixes. Now interestingly, with the spades, the sixes seem to be the most diverse and complex of the cards. Yeah, so remember, the sixes are a path, right? It looks like a path, right? So what do we have? We've got going down the wrong path. Yeah, running down the wrong road. That means that could be doing something, moving in the direction of doing illegal things, right? Or doing things that are not good for us or good for other people. That kind of idea of running down the wrong path. Also, hanging out with the wrong people is part of the six of spades. Making a wrong decision is part of the six of spades. Interestingly, also clearing out is part of the six of spades, yeah? Getting rid of things in our lives that are not good for us, or actually getting physical objects out of our space, right? Getting rid of stuff, mentally, emotionally, and physically. It's also the card for abandoning and abandonment, yeah? Walking away from things, yeah? You taking the path away from stuff, right? Also, problems with travel, yeah, travel problems, canceled flights, bus accidents, traffic jams would probably all be part of that. And also being on a difficult journey in a physical sense of it's hard to get from here to there, but also in a more metaphorical sense of our lives are difficult now. I'm on a difficult journey these days. We say that sometimes, right? The sevens. The sevens. Remember, now sevens are trouble. Problems already. So for the seven of hearts, we had emotional problems, right? But also problems being solved because the hearts move into the problems and things get worked out. Not so with this one. This is double trouble. Yeah, seven of spades, it's trouble upon trouble, it's double trouble. It's also things like mysteries. Yeah, obscure things, hidden things. It's discovering things, finding things out. And in line with that idea of finding things out, we also have the idea of diagnoses. Yeah, medical diagnoses, for example, or perhaps psychological diagnoses. Consultations to get those diagnoses are part of the Seven of Spades as well. So it's interesting that the Seven of Spades, which starts off with problems upon problems, we also move into the more neutral space of, well, finding out or searching for what's wrong, hidden things, and those things that can be wrong could be mental, right, or physical, or financial. Yeah, there are financial consultations that could be part of this as well, I suppose. Also, and I need to check my notes for this, atheism. It's one that I keep forgetting with the Seven of Spades. It's atheism, having no religion, right, or having problems with religion. Also, hexes and curses and black magic are part of the Seven of Spades, which is where I wanted to add, because of this, I wanted to add the idea of love magic to the Seven of Hearts, if you remember. Eights. Eights are our thoughts, they are our communication, and they're groups of people. And so all of these things are bad here with the Eight of Spades. Yeah? So, bad thoughts, right? So it's negative thinking. And negative thinking can lead us to depression, which is also part of this, which is the loss of energy. Or it could be oppression, yeah, where that energy is piled up upon us. Make sense? Yes? Bad communication, gossip, rumors are part of the Eight of Spades. Oh, darn, I forgot with the Four. Four of Spades. Let me hold it up for you. Yeah? The Four of Spades can also be an army. Can be an army, yeah? The Eight of Spades is war. You can think of two armies coming together. 4 plus 4 makes 8. Two armies coming together could be war. It can also be violence in general. It can be gangs, yeah? A group of people with bad intent out in the world, right? Not necessarily a regimented army, but gangs of people, mobs even, angry mobs. Gang violence can all be part of the Ace of Spades. I'm sorry, the Eight of Spades. Angry mobs, what else? Oh, yes, the one I always forget, I just noticed it, the Witch's Coven is part of the Eight of Spades. Not a really good opinion of witches' covens in playing card meanings. Maybe we could have a coven of white witches in the Eight of Hearts if you want. Yeah, if you are a witch in a coven that is doing good white magic, then maybe move your coven over to the Eight of Spades, of Hearts, Eight of Hearts. Does that make sense? Okay, so, Eight of Diamonds. No, I'd say Eight of Hearts. Yeah, okay. Let's move on to the nines. Nines are changed, right? So, and remember, the Nine of Hearts is the wishes coming true card, right? The dreams coming true. So, we start off with the Nines of Spades being wishes not coming true, dreams dying before they're born. Yeah? Also changes for the worse. This is the change card, changes for the worse, which could be also illness. It could be accidents. And this is also the card for surgery. Remember, the Four of Spades could be the surgery table. This is the actual act of surgery. Okay? Now we move on to the Ten of Spades. And I'm told that this is the worst card of the bunch. Although to me, some of these other cards, like the Ace of Spades being death, sounds pretty bad. This is apparently the worst of the bunch, which is what? The tens, remember, their endings, right? And their journeys, the physical, not the path of the six, but the journey like travel. So So what do we get for the 10 of spades? We get just endings, yeah? Failure, bad endings. We get tears that flow from those things. We get violence. Not necessarily gang violence, but just the idea of violence as a general concept. We also get the idea of illness here too. So there's a lot of sickness going through the spades. And there's a lot of variations on violence. 2 violent words, arguments, battles, right? The 8s would be gang violence, right? This is just plain old violence. Yeah. When we get to travel, the journey of travel, this is the earth suit, so we get journeys by land, which could be many things, right? It could be trains, it could be buses, it could be cars, taxis, it could be the subway, again, a train. It could also be bicycles, and it can be walking. So, on the lighter side, this could be the card for going for a hike. That's a good thing, right? Travel by walking. Good stuff. So they call this the worst card of the bunch, but some of this doesn't sound so bad. Like traveling side doesn't sound so bad. And some of the other cards really do feel a little worse to me. Okay, so we go into the court cards now. And I usually put this at the end, but just in case you're curious, when we think of the court cards for the spades, we think of the darkest complexion. Yeah, the darkest. So it could be somebody who lives in a very, very white, not white, but racially white area. And somebody from Sicily goes up there and that person to live, and that person could then become the complexion of the ace of spades, right? Among very, very white, pale people with blonde hair, the person from Sicily, who would be considered white to me, would become the ace of spades, right? But also the darkest of the dark black skins, the darkest of the darker brown skins tones, right? Some of the Asian skin tones can go pretty dark too, yeah? So if you want to go complexion, you could go that way. Personally, I do not do that. I look more for characteristics and interests of the person. Now, what are their hobbies? What are their jobs? What are their interests? What kind of a person are they? So when we think of the spades as characteristics of a person, we're not looking at a very loving, helpful, and uplifting person, right? Not like the hearts, where they've got your best interests in mind. In fact, here we go with the opposites, right? So that Jack of Spades, where the Jack of Hearts is a young person, remember? Male, female, cis, trans, non-binary, intersex, all of that, 30 or under. Right? So, this young person, where in the hearts is somebody who has your best interests in mind, this one has your worst interests in mind, yeah? This is a young person who has it out for you. Now this person is untrustworthy, is deceitful. This person could also be depressed and lonely. This person could be in trouble with the law. This person could be what we think of as a delinquent in 1950s parlance. The Jack of Spades could also be somebody who just doesn't like you. It could also be a dead spirit, yeah? The dead spirit of a young person. It could be a witch's familiar. Yeah, so if you've got a witch's cat, that could be the Jack of Spades. I'm just going totally stereotype. And the jacks are also messages. So This is messages of bad news. Makes sense, right? Okay, let's go on to the queens, which I've said this throughout all of the suits. The queens are my favorite in each suit. Even this one is my favorite. Who is a queen? She is a woman or female presenting person. So if you are somebody over 30 and this person or you still identify as non-binary, maybe maintaining the jack for you or that person would be the best idea. I don't know, we still need to evolve in this direction. But the queen to me is a female presenting person, whether it be a cisgendered person, a trans person, or a cross-dressing person, a person who presents female. This is and I'll just say woman, who is against you, your enemy, has your worst interests at heart. Opposite of the Queen of Hearts, yes? And this woman could be just not like you or have a really, really evil intent towards you, wants to get back at you. If that spectrum makes sense to you. It could be a dead woman. The ghost of a woman who's 30 or under, or over, 30 or over. It could also be a witch. It could be a widow. And it could be a divorced woman. So like the Queen of Hearts is the loving wife, the loving mother. This one is the divorced woman who... I guess in olden times was considered to be the not nice woman, right? Because that's why she got divorced, of course. It has nothing to do with the man. That was sarcastic. But yeah, so those ideas, a divorced woman, a widow, widow's weeds in black, right? And the queens are also the truth. So what is this? It's an unpleasant truth. It's also a lie. So, a truth about something unhappy, something painful, something heartbreaking. You find out somebody died. You find out the truth about the death being, intentional. Some very sad, dark, heavy, unhappy news. Or a lie. So, remember, the Queen of Hearts could also just be plain old honesty. This Queen of Spades could also be plain old lies. Right? Okay, so, the King of Spades. The King, similar to the... Queen of Spades. Go back to the Queen. Back to the Queen. Okay, so the Queen of Spades can also be a profession, a woman in a profession such as a judge, a policewoman, a detective, a prison guard. Yeah? Someone working in the penal system can also be the Queen of Spades. Or probably even a mortician. That would make sense. Or grave digger or a cemetery caregiver. Somebody who deals with death. And a forensic doctor, maybe? Yeah? Okay, so let's go to the boys again, yeah? The male presenting people, which could be a cisgendered person, a transgendered person, a drag king, right? A woman dressed in male drag can also be this one. 30 or over. Who is this guy? Just like the woman in the Queen, this male presenting person is your enemy. Someone who hates you. Someone who has your worst intent in mind. Somebody who just doesn't like you. It doesn't have to be that strong, right? It could be a widower. Someone who has survived the death of their partner. It could be a divorced, just say male presenting person, but male. A dead male, 30 or over. Yeah, the spirit of a dead male, 30 or over. Could also be a male witch. But also we get the idea, now, devils are generally considered to be masculine in these cards. So the devil is here, right? Interesting. Also, again, the people working in the penal system, for example, judges, policemen, detectives, executioner. There could be a female executioner, I suppose, for the queen card as well. An executioner, a prison guard. Did I say that? But yeah, a prison guard. The kings are also the power to do things, right? So the king is the power to do harm, to do evil, to hurt others. Not the happiest of dudes, not the kind of guy you generally want in your life. Now, in the professions, there are some very wonderful judges. There are some very wonderful prison guards out there, and they make wonderful partners, I'm sure. But aside from those professions, also maybe someone like a mortician, maybe a forensic surgeon, maybe a graveyard caretaker, right? Somebody working in the death field as well would be part of that card. Yeah, so aside from the professions, the characteristics, the personality traits of other King of Spades people are the worst of the lot, right? Okay, so friends, we're all ready. Oh, again, and that's one reason that I really don't like associating complexion with these people in these suits, because even the loose connection of evil people and people with dark skin, I really find that disturbing. So I don't do that. I know there are people out there that do. I do not do that. Anywho, what we're going to do now, I'm going to turn the camera down and let's talk about timing with playing cards. Are you all ready, friends? Follow me down. Hello, friends, and welcome back to my stumble through of an explanation about timing for playing cards. So, I'm going to use my Jeu de cartes au portrait de Paris from Artisan Tarot again, because I have not received the decks that I've ordered from other places, and I don't want to use my plastic study cards because I want to keep them in order. And I also don't want to use my grandmother's playing cards because I don't want to carry them around with me. I'd like to keep them safe at home. So this deck is sturdy, easy to replace if need be, but it doesn't look like it will need to be replaced ever because this cardstock is just phenomenal. So I highly recommend this. If you want to get this deck, I will have a link in the description box below. So let me set the box aside and let's start talking about timing. So there are a couple of different ways to work with timing with playing cards. You probably know that a deck of playing cards has 52 cards, right? You probably also know that a year has 52 weeks. You probably also know that there are 4 suits in the playing cards. And there are 4 seasons in the calendar. We have a little calendar right here in our hands. Yeah, so one way to think of this deck is by season and week. So which week of the season? So, for example, diamonds. I was going to start off with diamonds anyways. Diamonds are the spring, right? And the spring begins with the spring equinox, which is somewhere, you'd have to check your calendar, which is somewhere between March 19th and the 21st, depending on the year. In 2026, the spring equinox is going to be on March 20th. I checked that out for us. Yeah? The hearts, right? The hearts, they are summer, and they begin with the summer solstice, which would be either June 20th or the 21st. This year, 2025, I believe, and in 2026, it was the 21st. Then we have the clubs, right? The clubs. The clubs are fall, and it begins with the fall equinox, which is between September 21st and September 24th. The fall equinox for this year, 2025, and next year, 2026, is on September 23rd. So it was on the 23rd in 2025 and will be on the 23rd in 2026. And then finally, Spades is winter, right? Spades is winter. And the winter solstice is either December 20th or 21st. The solstice in 2025 and in 2026 are both on the 20. Or I'm sorry, it could also move to the 22nd. So, is in December 22nd for this year, 2025, and next year, 2026. So what does that mean? So, for example, if you're pulling a card for timing, what do we have here? The 9 of diamonds. So this would be the 9th week of diamonds is spring, the 9th week of spring. So you find the solstice, the equinox, the spring equinox on the calendar, which would be the 20th of March in 2026. And then you go 9 weeks. So that would be the week, first week would be to the 27th. Next week would be to April 2nd. Third is the 9th. Fourth is the 16th. Fifth is the 23rd. Sixth is the 30th. The 7th is the 7th of May. I've lost count. Okay, let me just do this right now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 8th is May 14th, and then the 9th is May 21st. So the week of probably somewhere between the 18th and the 23rd of May. That would be the time indicated by this card, right? The 6 of hearts, this would be in summer, right? So 6 weeks after the summer solstice, which would be, and I'm not going to count it out for you, I'll just look at my calendar and count for myself. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it would be somewhere in the first week of August. Yeah? And let's see. Let's go here. So the Ace of Diamonds, what would that be? That would be the first week of the spring equinox. So it would be somewhere in the week of like March 15th to the 21st maybe. Or you may decide that you want to go from the 20th to the 27th because even though that's Friday, the 20th is Friday, so you might want to go Friday to Friday. I think that would be up to you, as long as you make your own decision of how you're going to work with these cards with calendar. It will all be fine, right? Okay, so if you want to do the week on the calendar, or if you want to go from like the Friday, which is the equinox, to the next Friday, to the next Friday, to the next Friday, if that makes sense, you could do that too. So that's one way to work with the cards and timing. Another way to work with the cards and timing is with blocks of time. Yeah? So, starting off with diamonds. Diamonds are minutes and hours. Now the diamonds are minutes and hours. So the 6 of diamonds could be 6 hours or 6 minutes from now, right? The hearts. The hearts are days and weeks. So the 7 of hearts would be 7 days from now, which would be a 1 week, or 7 weeks from now. The clubs. Okay, Jack of clubs. So, jacks, they are the 11th card, right? So, clubs are hours and days. Clubs are hours and days. So, that would be 11 hours from now or 11 days from now. And then spades. Spades are weeks, months, and years. So, this is the 9 of spades. That could be 9 weeks from now, 9 months from now, or 9 years from now. And part of your choice between those very, very different periods of time, I think, would depend on the question being asked. Yeah? So it really depends on the kind of question, the system that I would decide to go with if I am looking for timing on a reading. So what I would do is first I would lay out a spread. And then if timing becomes a question, I would pull a card for timing. Now, how do we do that? Let's do a spread. Now, I'm going to do an another video on spreads later. Yeah? Probably next week. But before you lay a spread with playing cards, just like with tarot, you really want to make sure you know a question. It could be a general question, it could be a specific question, it could be a yes-no question, but right now we're not going to do yes-no questions because we already did those. And I'm not going to revisit the yes-no questions, cutting aces or laying a 3-card spread or just doing a 1-card pull. Yeah, I've done those different spreads in previous videos. But always you want a question before you even start shuffling your deck. And you, especially for this kind of reading, you want to decide on the significator for the seeker, whether it's for yourself, you're reading for yourself, or it's for another person that you're reading for. So, let's pretend that I am reading for myself. Excuse me, my voice is getting a little bit dry. Pretend I'm reading for myself, and I've decided for myself that I am the King of Diamonds. I don't have the skin tone for a King of Diamonds, but my profession and my interest in cartomancy moves me in the direction, I believe, of King of Diamonds. So, King of Diamonds is going to be my card. My question will be, what's going on with my relationship? A very general question, right? So, I already thought of that question shuffling the cards, but let me do a couple more shuffles just so that you know that these are randomized. And to show you how wonderfully this deck shuffles. This is fabulous, yeah? Let me show you. Riffle shuffle, sideways. Yeah, bridging. Beautiful. Let me show you that again in a more stable. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? Bridging, phenomenal. So, what's up with my relationship? Okay, so what is up with my relationship? And I think the cards know that we're just experimenting here. And I've got a jumper because, if you know me, I shuffle for crap. So, yes, I've been doing this for years and years, and still I shuffle for crap. Especially overhand. Even with a wonderful deck like this. Okay, so, cut the cards. What's up with my relationship? Now I'm going to do a 5-card spread. That Actually, well, okay, I'm just going to do a standard 5-card spread. At least this is for me a standard 5-card spread with playing cards. And we'll talk about spreads in another video. Okay, getting off topic. So, 5-card spread. Yeah, we go with 1, 2. Ooh, this is up. No, I'm not reading with reversals now. 1, 2, 3. And actually, I don't know that I'm up to reading with reversals yet, but let's see. So then we go 1 down here, and then 1 up here. Now, can you see that? You might not be able to see that. Let me check the camera. Okay, so let me adjust this a little bit. I thought I had enough. Okay, let me see if I can zoom out a little bit. Okay. That's okay, you can see that, right? So, we've got this little spread here. And you'll notice we do not have any playing cards. I'm sorry, we don't have any playing cards. We don't have any court cards here. And so, let's see, what's up with my relationship? Well, it looks like, what do we have here? We've got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9 of. So there have been some changes in finances, or maybe changes of mind. Yeah, our ideas and our thoughts about the relationship have changed, which has led to some breakdown or some failure. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. We can work on communicating, right? We can work on communication. We can talk about how we can work better together. This card is for don't do, and I'll talk about the spread later. So don't do this makes perfect sense. That is, don't fight, don't argue, right? The top card here is what to do. And this is the 10 of hearts, yeah? Feel your success. Feel the love of family. Feel the love of your relationship. Feel the strength of that. Reach for that. Actively seek the stability of love within your relationship, right? And remember, there is this interesting thing about working towards communicating, right? So maybe I'm going to ask, when is my partner going to get in contact with me? When can we talk, right? When can we work on this? So I want to know, I've got a when question about this thing. When can we start working this out? So how do we do that? Now, you'll notice that the significator card did not appear in the spread, which is okay for now, but I'll play with you a little bit with this in just a moment. So what do? You turn the deck over, and then you start looking for that significator card, right? The King of Diamonds. Where is the King of Diamonds? Queen of Diamonds? No, that is not me. That is not me. No matter what you think. Uh-oh. Oh, is that the... okay, good. So that's interesting. It looks like the King of Diamonds... Oh, no, there we go. There's the King of Diamonds. Yes, I am over 30. And we look where the head is facing. Yeah? Now, even if this were a two-headed deck, you'd look at the face on the top, and you'd look at what it is facing, and it is facing this card here, right? Which is the 8 of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, the 8 of diamonds. So what does that tell us? What does this timing card tell us? Well, so it could be the 8th week of the spring equinox, which would put it in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which would be somewhere around May 14th of 2026. Now, does that sound like a reasonable answer to the question of when my partner and I will talk about what's going on? How will start working on our communication? That does not make any sense, right? So then we go to the next system, which is minutes and hours, right? So it could be about 9 hours away. It could be 9 minutes from now, but that does not make sense because 9 minutes from now, I'm still going to be probably editing this, and time differences, we both have jobs, right? It's not going to be 9 minutes. It's probably going to be 9 hours. In about 9 hours, we'll be talking. That's not so long to wait. Right? Does that make sense? Now, what if the king, remember this king, were at here, at the top of the, okay, what if this king were at the top? Well, still looking at a jack, we're okay. But now, what if it were this jack here? Maybe it was the jack of hearts. That was the significator. It's at here, the jack is looking to no one, right? Or what if this jack were here? You flip over the deck and this is the significator, and the jack is looking off here at nothing. That means timing is unknown. Does that make sense? It means we cannot answer timing right now. Okay? So, now what about this? What if the king had come up here? My significator card. What if this king had come up in the spread? What do I do? Well, I could do the same thing. Timing is right here in the spread, and the timing here would be the 8 of clubs. Clubs would be the fall equinox, right? So I could be talking the 23rd. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It could be I'd have to wait until the 12th of November or thereabouts. But still, for the question of when are we going to start talking, that seems like an unreasonable amount of time to wait, right? So we go to the other system. Clubs is hours and days. So interestingly, we put it at, instead of 9 hours, we've got 8 hours here, or 8 days, which could be more reasonable, right? 8 days even could work. You might not have time to really talk. You might call each other and have short conversations, but for the actual long conversation of working on the relationship, it might take 8 days before you both have time. Does that make sense? Or what if this card ended up being here? Or here? Right? This card would not have been out, right? Or even here. What do you do? Again, you're telling, it's looking at nothing, so timing is unavailable at this moment. We don't know yet. If it were here or here, we've got some cards for timing. Does that make sense? So that is how I have learned to read timing with playing cards. Now, okay, so what if the question were not, when are we going to talk about, okay, let me lay this spread again. What if the spread were not about when are we going to talk, but, so not what's going on with my relationship, but let's see, another kind of question. I want to get a promotion at work, right? I want to get a promotion at work, and what do I have to do? Yeah, what do I have to do to get a promotion at work? Let's just keep the same cards out here. Yeah, so what do I have to do? Well, this could be past, present, future. Yeah. So this is the 8 of diamonds, which was, so there have been some communication. Did I count this as 8 or 9? Anyway, so there have been some business meetings in the past. There have been, not business meetings. There have been meetings about money. There have been not changes. There have been, you've been thinking and talking about the finances at work, right? Which has led to some problems or failure at work. Some project or some deal has just gone south, right? But you can work your way through it. Some meetings will help. Some getting together, working, talking about the solutions. You will be able to find a way out. And what not to do again, don't fight with each other when you get into the meeting. Yeah, don't be at war. Don't make other people your enemies, but rather find emotional connection and fulfillment within the group of people that you're working with, right? And so you might wonder, well, when is this problem at work going to be solved? And so this was a big problem at work, right? So then you go and, okay, so the first time I did this, I decided I was not going to shuffle the cards. What do I mean? I mean, I laid the cards out, then we got this extra question. I did not shuffle the remaining cards. I just went right ahead and I looked for that King of Spades. I'm sorry, the King of Diamonds for me. Yes? But you can decide to shuffle the cards. You might say, okay, so I've laid the cards. I'm asking a new question about timing in relationship to this information. So I'm going to shuffle the cards a couple of times and see where the King of Diamonds, because that's still me. My significator does not change according to the question being asked. It's still my significator. So I'd still look for the King of Diamonds. But I've decided I'm going to reshuffle the cards with this specific question of when are we going to be able to really start working on solving this problem at work? And I'll cut the cards because I always do. You don't have to. That's all up to you. And now I start looking for the King of Diamonds again, right? King of Diamonds, wherefore art thou King of Diamonds? And we get here. So, oh, he's looking at the Ace of Hearts. So this could be what? It could be the first week of the summer solstice. Now, the summer solstice has passed, right? That would be the week of June 21st. So it could be that it's going to be almost a year before we are able to work on this problem. If that makes sense for the seeker, that could make sense. It's going to take about a year, right? But the hearts are also days and weeks. So it might be a week, maybe not one day, but maybe a week from the time of the reading, you'll be able to start working on solving these problems. Don't start solving the problems right away. Wait a week, wait for things to settle, and you'll be able to start working on things together. Because right now, maybe emotions are running a little high. Maybe you don't want to mess with it yet. Give it a week for things to settle and then get to work again. Does that make sense? Or know that this problem is not going to be solved quickly. It could take about a year for it to be solved. So that's where, again, a reader's intuition and sense of relationship to of problem to seeker to time all comes into play. Does that make sense? I hope it does. If it does make sense, let me know in the comments below. If it does not make sense, let me know in the comments below. I'll try and explain it better, maybe in the next video. Also, if you have a different way of reading for timing, let us know. Share your information. I and we would all love to hear from you. So friends, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me on this journey. And now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.